How you doing, folks? It is bodywork time for this 1974 MGB behind me, and I am really going to be testing my abilities today to try and fix the area that needs to be fixed now, i.e. the windscreen corner. How you doing, folks? I'm Ross Kelly and this is Enfloat. Alright, so first order of the day is going to be to get this bonnet out of the way, because it's just going to be awkward trying to work around it. So what I'm going to do is I want to try and do the front section here, which is the easier bit, before I start getting into the kind of more complex composite curves and shapes up here. So in order to do that, there's 4 bolts. Take them out, and then this bolt up here, and then we'll be able to lift the bonnet off. It has to come off anyway because the bonnet's rotten as much as everything else on the car. This is going to be fiddly doing it on my own. I don't have anybody here with me to help me, so it's going to be an awkward one. Okay, so the first thing we're going to need to do is we're going to need to grind the paint back and see just how much corrosion we're actually dealing with here, because it's looking pretty crusty right the way around to there, and yeah, it's going to be a bit awkward now. I mean, look, this is a flat piece of metal really, in the grand scheme of things. I don't expect to be able to do a repair good enough that it won't need any filler afterwards to just kind of dicky it up, but I will try and get it as close as I can to being kind of solid and reasonable, and that it just needs to skim rather than a whole wedge of filler. So I'll do what I can. I feel at this juncture I need to point something out. I'm not a professional car restorer, and I take a lot of flack from people who are, insofar as people think, oh, you did it wrong, you didn't do it this way, you didn't do it that way, you should have read about it. I'm doing this for fun, folks, okay? And the fun I'm getting out of it is figuring it out as I go along, okay? I don't always do things right, but what I do is I try to get the right end result, even in a roundabout way, okay? So I'm taking you along on my journey, not necessarily to show you how to do things, but sometimes even to show you not how to do them, or to show you the wrong way of doing something, or an alternative way of, in the end, getting it right. There's various different ways of doing it. These are not instructional videos. It's a video series on some mad idiot in Ireland restoring a car in a damp old shed. So and with the minimum of tools as well, for that matter. So, you know, don't expect miracles here, and don't expect a concourse restoration at the end of it. This car is going to be getting driven by the end of it, and it'll look smart, but perfect it will not be, but it won't be bad either. You know, I won't have it bad, but I just wanted to point that out, okay, because a few people were giving off at me about how I went about restoring the gauges. They'll work fine. The fit, form and function of them will be absolutely fine in the end, okay? And maybe using sealant around the bezel was wrong, but who cares? You're not going to see it and it's going to work fine, you know? I mean, that's the kind of thing I'm talking about. So anyway, right, look, back to what we're doing here. Goggles and glasses and gloves. I don't have ear defenders, but we'll manage. Okay, so let's have a look and see what we're dealing with here. So yeah, kind of as we expected, in fairness. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut across there and remove, maybe I'll start from there, go in from there, across there, and then down there and across there, and remove that whole section, and we make up a new piece for that. We start there and then worry about this mess over here at a later stage. So there's obviously a brace that goes along here. So I did cut through it a little bit, not the end of the world, I can just tack that up again. Anyway, I need to go in a bit further because there's actually a hole in that as well underneath there, if you can see. So what we need to do is, Jesus, there's never less rusts than you're expecting to find, folks, is there? So yeah, that's going to need repair work as well. Well, nothing forward down to just keep going, and when we get to the end, stop. ouch, this is getting bad. So just have to keep going at it. There's cutting, grinding, welding, cutting, grinding, welding. There's months of work involved in this alone before I get anywhere near anything else. So yeah. Oh well, nothing for it. Just keep going. Okay, it's template creation time now. I think I'm going to just start making small pieces to weld back in to replace the lumps of metal I've cut out of the car so far. You know, it's peculiar because some areas of this car are really, really solid, and then other parts are just rotten. I think it's because it's been sitting outside. Any places where rain has been falling on it, that's the areas that have been attacked, whereas the underside of the car is actually very solid. But still though, bloody hell, I mean, I do feel at this point I'm biting off more than I can chew. But I think I'm going to just feel like that until I kind of get to the precipice and I start to really make ground on it. But you know, it's things like this are just a little bit scary, you know, especially when you're not experienced in sheet metal repair. I think this will be the only time I ever do this level of sheet metal repair on a car, to tell you the truth, because I prefer the mechanical repairs, to tell you the truth. But you know, look, it's what I signed up for. Okay, so I have this cardboard that my wife gave me, which was great. So I can, what I'm going to do is I'm going to just put it up against the areas where we need to make the template, and I'm just going to literally run my finger around where the dodginess is, and I'm going to cut that out. Now, the reason you don't use the piece of metal you cut out to make a template, allegedly, he starts to sound like he's he knows what he's talking about again. The reason you don't do that is because if you do, you're losing the thickness of the grinding disc apart from anything else. So there you go. So you can just about see the outline there of the piece that I need to make. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to cut that piece out. I'm using a Stanley blade to cut it out actually, and then I'm going to offer that up against a piece of steel that I'm going to use for making the template, or making the repair patch. And I'm going to go about making that. Now, along this, I'm going to leave an extra little bit because I want to make a small return lip along there. And we're going to do our best to kind of butt weld it. This bit doesn't need to be perfect. You'll never see it once the other piece is on. But, you know, it's still good practice for me to try and get this bit right. Because if I get this bit right, then I'll get the other bit right. Look, relax, folks, in fairness. The car is going to be getting painted. Now, there we go, so we need to make that. The old wing that I took off the driver's side of the car is once again lending itself to making repair sections for the car. So at least a lot of this wing will go back into the car. Not the entirety of the wing, but most of it. So we'll cut out, we'll mark out this template and cut it out now. All right, so there's our patch offered up. So it's not looking too bad. I think it'll do the trick. So a few tacks, tap it into place with the little bodywork hammer kit that I got a lend of from a friend, and we should be fairly good to go on that one then. And I know there's a few other little rust holes. I'll tackle them as well, obviously, but this is obviously the major part. So let's get that done, and then we can start worrying about the rest of it. Good enough. It'll have to be anyway. It's not going to be seen anyway. And by the way, I can actually get at the back of it either through the hinge for the bonnet. You can actually get in there if you go in and to the right. You can get in there, and also I've cut away a piece where I can actually access the other side of it from inside the inner wing. So either way, I'll be able to apply some under seal or something like that in there just to prevent it from rusting from the inside out. So it'll be fine. It'll be fine. So next thing to do is to have a look at the sheet metal on the outside of the car, the visible part. Now that's going to be a job for another day for me, but for you guys, it'll all be part of the same video. So yeah. Okay, so I did one little patch before I went home. I had enough time, so I just tore into it, and yeah, I'm pretty happy with the result of that there. So it's that bit is in, so I'll just give it a lick of primer now before I go home. But yeah, it just means there's this big triangle piece now that needs to be put in. I do have to extend this bit out down here as well, just so that it comes out flush with the piece that comes along. But that's not really a major hassle. Probably a little closing piece there for that, and then bring that along. And yeah, bit of thinking to do as well. So yeah, but you can spend all your time thinking and not actually doing anything. Alright folks, day 2, and I have my template cut out for the repair section already. I just kind of jumped ahead a little bit. You don't need to see me cutting out cardboard, and I have that transferred onto the old wing that I'm using for body cuts. And yeah, let's get it cut out. I need to go and buy some steel though, by the way. I mean, I'm going to buy some 18 gauge steel to do a lot of this repair work, but for the moment I'm just going to use what I have. The problem is, like for example, the piece I'm going to use is actually curved, so I'm going to have to hammer it flat before I start kind of using it for the repair work on the car itself. So anyway, let's get that section cut out and we'll offer it up and see how we're looking. No, you know what, that's pure shite, even by my standards, to be honest with you. So no, I'm not going to use that piece. I'm going to have to just go and get some flat steel somewhere that I can actually use for this. Hammering it flat just meant that it was all warped, so what's the point in doing this? And besides, the one piece I cut out of the wing had a big lump of filler in it, so what are the chances of that? Yeah, like trying to use the old wing to do some good repairs is just not going to work. What I will do though is I'm going to actually try and start around here. So yeah, I mean, we'll see if we can do something with that. Let's just see if we can use the little piece I cut off to kind of form some sort of metal section there, and try and get that in place at least. Alright, so I suppose the trick here is going to be to do it in sections. There's no point in trying to tackle this all in one go, but yeah, I suppose here's a piece of metal we can use anyway. What I'm going to do is I'm going to try and make up a template for, let's say, in there first of all. Grind back what we have, so I'll cut it there, and it's double layered there, but it's only single layered here, so obviously it was joined at some point there. Yeah, there's a piece missing. Right, yeah, okay, right, where's my cardboard? We'll get stuck into that. So I'm just literally massaging the cardboard into the kind of windscreen aperture. Alright, so I've got some sort of an imprint there, so let's cut that out. As I said, I'll have to do this in sections, but anyway, that's what we'll do. Alright, so there's the piece cut out there. We can double layer it as far as, well, in a little bit anyway. But if I slice there and slice there, take that whole section out, I suppose I'll have to do, yeah. Alright, so you can see here, well, you might be able to see that I've just basically flattened out the piece of cardboard and scribed the line onto this piece of metal. This is what I was talking about. It just went to shit when I tried to hammer it flat, but in this context that won't matter. But yeah, so I'm just going to cut that out, and then we'll see if we can just kind of stretch the metal into shape for this area here, and then once we have the piece, then I'll go cutting out the old bit, well, what's left of it. Sake, the glass is fogging up with the fed up with wearing fucking masks. I'm starting to come to the realisation I don't enjoy this. I really don't. This is actually a load of me arse. There's no fun in this at all for me. Some people do. I just it's boring, it's repetitive, and to be honest with you, this is the type of thing I'd happily pay somebody else to do for me, but the problem is that half the bodywork people I meet seem to be complete idiots, or they seem to be slightly on the insane spectrum. But I'll go so far. I honestly, I think, to be honest with you, what I'm thinking of doing is just shelving the bodywork until a later stage and just getting all the mechanical work done. And at least that way then I can kind of bolt the back axle, the engine, gearbox and all that sort of stuff back into the car, stick it on a trailer and get it somewhere that will finish it for me, because you have to enjoy this sort of stuff to do it. And as I said, I'm just not enjoying it. Maybe if I keep going for a little bit longer, I might find some part of it that I actually do like, but so far no. Anyway, look, we'll see what I can get done here. I might just be in a bad mood today, that might be the other thing. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to finish this section here, and then I'm going to see how I feel. I think this is probably one of the more difficult parts of the car to fix, in fairness, anyway, and I think I'm just getting bogged down and everything. But yeah, I think I'll reevaluate at that stage. Anyway, right, so I have a new piece made up for that. It's a bit crap, but it'll be hidden by the windscreen rubber. So long as the windscreen fits after I do it, that's the other thing. So I have it marked up where to cut, and I'm going to have to double up on that in certain areas. And then what we'll do is we'll get the welding plant at it and see how we go from there. It's all still there. We grind that back. That leaves the doubler part still in place, and it's actually solid enough, so it'll have to do. Right, we'll do that. I'll change out my disc and just use the flap wheel just to take off the second layer of metal on that. Should walk off anyway, given the fact that it's already rotten. Okay, I'll tack that there, and I'll tack the other end, grind it all back, and then try and make another piece to go up along here. Right, now where's my welding plant gone? Alright, so I have a little strip of metal cut here now to go in behind there, to carry around that part. And go up as far as, say, there. Oh. I think, folks, what I'm going to do is I'm going to just leave it. I think what I'll have to do is I'm just going to have to reevaluate the situation. Maybe do some of the external panels myself, the doors, the boot, the bonnet, stuff like that. Things like this, I think I'll just have to get the body shell into somebody to get them to do it for me, because this is just wrecking my head. I'm not enjoying it. And when you're not enjoying something like this, all that's going to end up happening is you're not going to do a good job on it. And I want this car to be right. I want it to be, you know, a nice car. What I'll enjoy is doing things like, you know, rebuilding the engine and doing the back axle and suspension, and rebuilding the brakes, fitting out the interior, tidying up the dashboard. There's so much stuff that I can be doing, and it doesn't involve all of this carry on. And you know what's annoying as well is the fact that, like, if there was a repair panel for that section, there is a repair panel, but it's the whole windscreen surround, and it costs a fortune. It's like 650 quid, and I can't trust myself to not buy that panel and then make an absolute bollocks of it, like, you know, and wreck it. So I'm not going to go down that route. This sort of stuff, like, you know, I mean, just trying to tack in little fiddly bits of metal and all this kind of stuff, my head's not in it. It really isn't. So yeah, I think the next thing to do is I'm going to call it a this. I'm going to try and get the engine from the MG into the back of the van and get it down to my house, because I have an engine stand now that I can put that in, clean it all up, make a start on rebuilding that, and reevaluate the situation with the bodywork and try and come up with something else, because no, it's not going to happen. Especially not with the amount of it that needs to be done. Like, you know, just take a quick look here. There's the other side, which also needs the same amount of work. Well, a little bit less, but it still needs work. There's various scabs all over the car. God knows what we're going to find when we grind all that back there. I I know the boot floor needs to be replaced, and then this part here needs to all be done, all around here. So that all needs fixing. And then just the chrome and bright work, the wheels have to be refurbished, all that sort of stuff. You can see the boot lid, it probably need a new boot lid at some stage or another. You know, you can tell, I'm just looking there, that's full of filler. It's definitely full of filler. You know what, I'm actually going to get the grinder onto that and we're going to have a look. Yep, full of filler. Alright, so that's both rear quarters are probably going to need, it's probably going to need replacing both rear quarters. I know it needs door skins, it needs sills. The floor pans are in good condition, aside from the boot floor. Engine bay is all in good condition. So the great thing about the engine bay is that I can actually put the engine back in when I have that rebuilt. Inner arches, not bad. I mean, that's the worst of it there, really, that kind of thing. And there's a little bit more down underneath. And then obviously that mess up there. What do you guys think? I mean, bearing in mind, I don't really have a huge amount of time to be doing this at the moment as well. Like, you know, I don't have the amount of time that this is going to take, let's just say, not without spending years on it. And no, not going to happen. Put your opinions in the comment section below. Am I crazy just to walk away from the bodywork of this, or, you know, I feel bad to do it, but, you know, I've tried it, you know, I'm trying this and it's wrecking my head. I'm not enjoying it. And I think if you enjoy it, maybe you might do it, but no. I am going to keep going today. I have a bit more time left today, so I'm going to see what I can get done, and then I'll reevaluate in like by the time it's about 1:30. It's 2:30 now, so it gives me kind of 2 hours, but, you know, by the time it's 4:30 I kind of need to wrap up, so yeah. Alright, I'm still tipping away here anyway. This is I'm getting a bit of progress made. So I'm going to just tack this in here. I got chatting to a guy on the phone who I got the number off through Facebook Markets, actually. Somebody was selling a load of MG stuff, and it was sold from under me, but he put me in touch with the guy who bought it all. Now, I'm not going to try and buy it off him, but what I did do is I spoke to him because he has like 4 MGs. And I got talking to him anyway, and in all honesty, it's great getting talking to somebody like him, because he was just a little bit of a motivator for me. Sometimes when you get overwhelmed with these things, you need to just have a chat with somebody. He sent me some pictures of his car, and my God, it's beautiful. So just get another tack on that. All right. Tack it on this corner here, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to just grind down that and get the right radius for the windscreen. So if I can get it there, so yeah, I'm going to use a flap wheel along there and just kind of run along there and just get the radius right for the windscreen. And then this bit down here is going to be getting replaced. Well, one of the layers of metal anyway. So I'll grind that back as well with the flap wheel, and then we'll bring it around there. So that will, and then we can look at this bit here as well afterwards. All right, I've had a bit of a think here. So yeah, the repair is just not coming out the way I want, and basically I feel like I'm making one step forward and two steps back with it. I think really what I need is, if I'm going to do this, I need a repair panel. I need an actual, or at the very least a body offcut or something like that of that section, because I can't do it. I just can't get it right. You know, it's too complex a shape. What with the windscreen aperture, the composite curve, all of this, and it's such a visible part of the car as well that, it's just not a part I want to get wrong. So I'll show you here now what I'm looking at. So you can see, like, I have that bit in there now, right? And I was kind of going along here. I obviously just ground that back too far. So it got too thin. So it's like trying to weld tin foil. You just won't do it, like. And also that trying to get that shape down around there, it's impossible. I mean, not with my skills anyway. I mean, a skilled bodywork person who is actually, who enjoys doing this sort of stuff might actually do it. But for me, I'm getting fed up with it now at this stage. As far as this bit here is concerned, I have every confidence that I'll be able to actually fix that, to get that bit right. And essentially that means that then from this point here all the way up to this point here, once I've kind of gotten the return lip on this bit here done, that's all done. So it's literally just that section there that I need to get a piece for. Like, even down in the windscreen aperture, okay, it's not perfect, but I mean, look, at a little bit more grinding in that and dressing that up should see it right. I need to close off that section there, piece along there, piece down there, and look, that's as much as I can do. So rather than the footage for this video spinning around on my hard drive for a long time without me uploading it, I'm actually going to put it up as it is and show you how far I've gotten by the time I've kind of lost faith in my abilities. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave this be for the moment, and I'm going to get into working on the engine. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to try and load the engine into the back of the van, the camper van, and bring it down to the house so that I have all the bits there. And I'll just I'll go through I have a couple of boxes of bits here for the MG, so I'll just go through it and pick out all of the parts for the engine. At least that way then I'll be able to focus my efforts on that and not completely lose heart. And in the meantime then what I'll do is I'll try and find a few repair sections for that bit there, and I mean, we can kind of, I mean, as I said, it's just wrecking my head. There's no point in me saying otherwise. Also, it's about 3 degrees out and I'm bloody freezing. I'm just looking forward to going home at this stage. So yeah, sorry for being a bit of a negative Nelly on this one, folks, but sometimes I have to take the good with the bad. And as I said earlier in this video, I'm just showing you how I'm tackling this and the ups and downs. I don't always get it right. I don't always I'm human. I'm one person trying to do my best, and I'm not a professional by any stretch of the imagination in this regard. So I mean, look, it is what it is. So come along for my journey. We'll get there in the end, and I certainly won't be calling time on this car. I'll definitely get the car finished, but how I go about it, I don't know yet. We'll find out with time. So yeah, do subscribe if you haven't already, and stay updated with my progress. The engine build should be interesting, and I think I'll do a good job on that. I sincerely hope so anyway. And yeah, I'll keep you updated with my progress. So thanks for watching, and I will talk to you soon. Take care.